and then the AP scores and the SAT scores. I got the impression that North Kingston might be focused more on the high-end students, and Narragansett might be focused more on the average student. So I was wondering if you got that impression.
I feel like we could come to that conclusion as a committee. I don't know if anybody other committee member wants to speak to that.
I think the thing about data is it makes you ask more questions. And so I think we could go back and spend more time and be asking more questions, because as I look at the data, I would ask that too. You ask, do they have different populations? Is the socioeconomic status different? Is the rigor of the course? And we did ask administration in both schools, about the rigor of, their standards. And one thing that we found was that if you look at the achievement data, especially the SAT scores and the advanced placement scores, you see a higher level of achievement at North Kingstown High School. But if you look at the percent of the seniors that are in the National Honor Society, the requirement for National Honor Society is that you have a B+ average. So there were 33%, a third of the senior class at Narragansett that were getting B+ averages. And the 19% at North Kingstown. That is it seems a contradiction to the achievement data, but does that mean that the standards, to get an A, you have to have a higher level of achievement?
Can I just, I'm a college professor, I've been on lots of admissions committees. GPA doesn't matter unless you match it to the quality of the school, right? What matters is the AP scores, the SAT scores, and then the quality, the GPA matched to the quality of the school. So,
But going back to your question, do they cater to the average?
right.
We don't know, because a higher percentage of kids are getting a B+ average. So what does that mean? We don't know
It
yet.
does, but it's right.
Right.
It just means that is, again, we just presented the data. But I don't think we would feel to say what your statement, we would not have made that
We
statement.
didn't have that observation, I think, when we did the classes.
No, I feel like both schools, that's what our
We
ability to
saw a
say.
range of classes. We went
We
to
saw a
some
range,
at each
felt
level.
needs were
of
met
course.
on many levels. Yes.
Hi, Jane Wright. I just wanted to ask the committee if Narragansett has the block schedule.
Yes.
About overcrowding in classrooms, did you notice the number of students per teacher between the two?
It's interesting, and that's why we included, when you, if you go back to classroom observations, we put our actual observations for you, thinking that was the best way to do it. You don't want an average doesn't give it to you, but again, we saw some large classes at Narragansett. We saw lots of large classes at North Kingstown. We saw smaller classes at North Kingstown, depending on what the class was of the subject, and smaller classes at Narragansett. Probably, if we're going to, we'd probably say there's it may be larger overall at North Kingstown, but again, you saw some science, I think, Julie, at Narragansett, 27. We didn't see anything larger than 29, I believe, at North Kingstown High School, so it's hard on that one. Again, you don't want to look at an average, you have to look at sort of what the course was and how many students were in it.
And that was the one day that we were there.
So
That we literally went, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and counted little heads. No idea if somebody was missing.
we have our actual numbers, we'll go through this on that chart. You see it varying sort of depending on the course.
Any other questions or concerns?
Yes.
Among your factors, will you give any consideration to the effect going to Narragansett would have on splitting siblings, where an older child would be going to NK and younger kids would be going to Narragansett in the deliberations?
I'd love to say yes, but in reality, if we were
it would not be a major, it could not be a major factor, because it's a factor that's based on a short time span. So my apologies to you, that's going to be your situation, but I don't think that should be a factor.
Follow-up question.
Yes.
Durga Larkin made a good point that it seems a lot of the parents here are very much in favor of North Kingstown, and you've indicated that you're going to take parental input into consideration. Should it be obvious that an overwhelming number of parents wish to stay in NK, at what point will you sort of wrap up this process and realize that that's the direction the community wants you to take?
Okay, that's a very hard question to answer, because we're looking at a broader picture than current parental satisfaction, because we have to look at factors that I mentioned, such as stability, such as town support for their schools. You mentioned community support, but then we have to look at town council, school committee relations. There are a lot of factors. Now, I don't want you to go out of here in a tizzy that we're going to rip your kids out of NK and place them in Narragansett. We have, well, so far the only data we have seems to be recommending the opposite. So we will be looking at a lot of factors, and certainly stay tuned, come to our meetings, and have a voice, but best I can do for you right now. It's a question mark, but I would say that it's a very, I can hear whispering over here, so I think someone else wants to have input, but I would say we're going to take a measured and reasonable look, and I think we'll come up with a reasonable answer.
Marcia had the same thought I had a minute ago, which was maybe it would be helpful, since all these people turned out tonight, to have a show of hands. To have us get a data point from all the people who came out tonight.
It's a little hard for the people who come out on the other side, but that's...
Yeah, that's true.
Yes?
Yeah, but the world is not that much more.
All right, Emily, want to hear from you as well.
I just want to say that I appreciate all the work that the committee did, that I think it's very important that people do not assume what everyone thinks, that North Kingstown is the only option for Jamestown students, that people need to appreciate the uniqueness of this island and our children in any environment that they go to. In any public school environment, they will not be that town's children. And so I applaud your ability to look at everything, including cost, and including the long-term changes that can be happening in either environment. There's a lot of changes happening at North Kingstown, and it's very important that they all be looked at and they all be considered. So I appreciate that, and I know it's not easy, but I thank you.
I am certainly an advocate for North Kingstown and teach there. I went to high school there, and I hope in the future to have my 3 children go there. But looking at this report, and I don't know if you can see that, you can see it through the number of courses offered and the number of athletics and clubs. But what you don't see is Narragansett doesn't offer you the diversity in students that North Kingstown does. So you take these Jamestown kids, what's the graduating class here, 50? 52, and you're grouping them with another 120, you're really not getting that much closer to what a college campus ideally is. Whereas if you go to North Kingstown, kids find their niche, I think, a little more easily. There's a lot of differences between kids at North Kingstown. And I think you'll see that, yeah, Jamestown kids stay friendly, but when they get over there, they form a lot more friendships because there's a lot of diversity. And you don't have socioeconomics in here, which I think is fairly